We did. Look at that camouflage. It's a headless spot. No, that is actually beautiful Timba, and you can see that he is quite full up there. It seems like he's got quite a full belly. Like I was saying earlier on today, Thandi was very efficient yesterday, and she managed to bring down a diker. Doesn't seem like there's anything around, but she's fine now. Sorry guys, I just have to answer the radio. Standing by. Hey firm, I just got here. Both ingwes are where we left them yesterday. Hello, beautiful Thandi. This is only, I think, the second time that I've actually seen her. Or well, the third time, but very, very happy to know that she's here. Now, we also bumped into a hyena on the way here that was running with a piece of meat in its mouth, but she went down straight into the drainage line, so I'm not too sure. Maybe it's one of the females related to the little cub we saw earlier on, and they're not at the den, maybe because they've been looking for food. Just like this beautiful girl was doing earlier on. Now, we are getting rained upon. There is a bit of, still, a few droplets in and out, and I think maybe Thandi saw something earlier on that she wasn't too happy about. But Timba, not too worried. He is up at the perfect spot. I don't know if maybe going back a little bit will give us a better view. He's just eating the last remains of the kill. Alright, let me just maybe reposition. Oh, and there are some impala in the distance. Maybe that's what she was looking at, actually. Alright, guys, I'm just going to move, see if maybe we can have a bit of a better look at Timba's face, because it's a bit of a tricky spot where he is. But, I think this is going to work much better. We're going to be able to see his face. Hey, Seb. Alright, perfect. Hello, boy. Well, someone's having breakfast. There we go, and you see how well... Alright, it is a bit of a gruesome view, so if you have any issue with what we're looking at, please maybe just go for a cup of coffee. Wait until he's done with his kill. Not too bad. It seemed like it was a small antelope, like I was saying, a great diker, which is one of the smaller ones that we have in this area, and I'm surprised it's lasted this 2 leopards so long. We were actually slightly convinced yesterday that they were not going to be around here this morning because the kill wasn't too big. But maybe they were already full from another kill, and that's why it lasted. Hello, Timba. Maybe some hair in your mouth. And there's beautiful Thandi. Always the queen of the termite mounds, hey? She's got some striking eyes, I must say. Now that I'm able to see her a bit more in the open. And you see, it's this weather that's making her a bit edgy. Maybe she knows by experience that she's got to be a little bit careful. Now it's properly... well, not properly raining, but definitely a lot more rain coming down. But they have a wonderful spot in this massive jackalberry that I'm being told was also one of Karula's favorite jackalberries. And it's a massive tree. Very beautiful. And funny enough, when I first started at Djuma, I always said, I would love to see a leopard up this tree. And now we get the both worlds. We get one leopard on top of this beautiful tree. Look at that. Oh, that is incredible. So Timba has claimed the tree. And then, of course, his mother was down on a termite mound. So I don't think we get the perfect spots for leopards, all of them in one place. And it is just one of the biggest jackalberries that we have around Djuma, or at least that I have seen. And there he is, still busy feeding. Oh, my radio, standing by. Hey firm, you can make your way. It's just myself here, both the Mafazi and the Mantuan. James, you're wondering how many species of felines are there in Africa? Well, I think quite a number of them, because the Felidae family is quite quite extensive, and it englobes everything from wildcats to servals to lions to leopards. So I'm not too sure. I would take my book out and try to find out from you, but I'm going to do that in a little bit when it stops raining, because I think I'm going to damage my book if I take it out now. So if you don't mind holding on to that question for a while longer, I'll gladly try to find the answer for you in a little bit. But I would assume, like, at least of the ones that we see around this area, we've got lions, leopards, servals, caracals, wildcats. So at least 5 of them. I'm sure I'm missing quite a few of the smaller ones. But we'll be able to find out in just a little bit, because the rain is now coming down, and it's odd to have so much rain at this time of the year. This is normally our winter time, and we're having some summer weather. But you are just happy up there, aren't you, Timba? You've got the best spot, and you've got breakfast. What else could you ask for? Country gal, you're wondering how much longer Thandi is going to be with Timba. Well, that is a question that we're all very curious to know the answer, because it seems like Thandi has been seen around Tingana quite often lately, and they've also been sharing kills by reports that we've had around the radio. Perhaps Tingana has actually been trying to steal them. So all of it indicates that Thandi is perhaps coming into Easter soon, so maybe she won't be with Timba for all that much longer, although I feel like Timba is a bit young still to be on his own. But I suppose that at least for the next 3 to 4 months, Thandi will be around Timba. Because even if she does go into heat, and if she does fall pregnant, then Timba will have at least 3 months notice before he's pushed away from Thandi. But often, I've particularly found it with male leopards, that they tend to hang around their mothers for quite a while, even after they've got their first litter. So we'll see. But I would say that Timba's still got a few months, and she is still providing for him, because she's the one that made the skill and brought it to him. But as we know, he's also capable of going hunting by himself. I think Taylor had him hunting Nyala a few days ago. So he's also starting to develop his skills as a hunter more and more. And of course, he loves eating, as we can see. I think we arrived at a very good time. Yeah, you're happy your mom brought breakfast, aren't you? Nursebold, you're wondering how long they can go without feeding. Well, they can go a few days. Even from a very young age, from when they're born, they're used to fasting and they're engorging themselves, because the mother will have to go and hunt, and once she's eaten, then she'll come back and just feed them until their bellies get very fat and round and very pretty. So they can go for a few days without eating, and then they can eat as much as about maybe 10% of their body weight, so they can eat maybe 10 kilograms of meat straight away, and that'll last them as a reservoir for a few days until they digest it, and then the whole process starts again. You can see Thandi's a little bit wet. She doesn't have such a nice spot as Timba does up on the tree, and she's doing a very good job of braving the conditions. I think the rain is starting to calm down for a little while, so hopefully we'll be able to stick around here for a little while longer. I think it's actually stopped now. Ah, great. So otherwise we would have to put a roof on, but I think we're fine for now. So I just apologize if you've seen any spots of water on the lens, but I think Seb did a very good job at taking them all out.
Yeah, I think there's some new ones without in the lens.
Yes, that's fine. And I can almost see the sun wanting to break through the clouds, so I'm sure, just to give you guys an idea of what we're dealing with, it's a very grey sky, but almost in the distance. Well done, Seb. The sun will start coming out, but I think it's just a little remnants now, so let's just stick around here and enjoy, and then if we do have to, then we'll put on more layers on, even for good old Wendy. Sorry guys, that is Seb cleaning the lens. Justin, you're wondering if leopards are mean because they don't share food. Well, they are sharing right now, but normally it's only a mother and a cub that will share. In the case that we're looking at, the mother's at the bottom, the cub is at the top, and she made the kill, so she's allowing him to eat part of the kill that she's made. But sometimes as well, if there are two adult leopards, a male and a female, that are engaging into a mating session, then sometimes they are also known to share kills. But in general, because they are solitary animals, a kill is something that they have to work really hard for. So they don't want to share it with any other animal unless they have to. And I think, look at Timba, I don't think he would want to share this kill at all. James, you're saying you're so happy to see your favorite leopards. Well, yay, I'm glad that they were here. Because yesterday we weren't too sure if they were going to stick around. But I'm very happy that they are, and that they are on one of my favorite trees. So how's that? Worked out for everyone. Okay, Gabriel, you can make your way. Just another one of the vehicles that is going to come and join us, because it is a very beautiful sight. And Timba is active and eating over there. Andy, you're wondering how old cubs are when they get weaned of their mother's milk. Well, they're normally around about 6 months old, but they start getting introduced to meat when they're just a few weeks old. So about, I would say, 3 to 4 months old, they start eating meat because the mother's milk is not enough to sustain them. And they'll start eating, and the mom will start either bringing small kills to them, or if the distance is not too great, then she will come and pick the cubs up and then take them back to wherever it is that she's made the kill. It's a slow process of just getting the little ones brave enough to move around with them and start eating everything they need to grow up. And you can see that Thandi's done a very good job, because Timba is definitely one of the biggest cubs that I've seen, at least for a while. He's unusually big for his age. And I think he's got a very fat belly over there. Look at that. Someone's been enjoying the kill. He does almost look like a little ball on top of that tree. And of course, his very beautiful long tail. It is funny, because when we came to see him yesterday, he was on top of the tree, but then exactly in that spot where he is, but he just pretty much went to sleep. And the kill was not where he is, so clearly at least he moved once during his nighttime and grabbed the kill, put it up there, but obviously that's the more comfortable spot on the tree. Ferociously eating. Sean, you're wondering how many species of leopard live in Africa? Well, there's just one species of leopard here, the African leopard. So the ones that and they're pretty much all over. I think the only place that we don't find them is in the Sahara, but from the sub-Saharan area all the way down to South Africa, it's the same species that we get. Now, there are other species of leopards around the world, but somebody's getting up. But this is the only one that we get in this particular area. Look at the size of those paws. He's so big. Now, I think the kill, there isn't too much of it left, judging by how he's started licking and struggling with some of the rib pieces. But overall, it seems like it was a good kill, or a good meal. I wonder maybe if he didn't catch something small in the last few days, and now he's very happy to have something really big. And then, of course, Thandi down there, gorgeous mother, keeping an eye out on her youngster, also while falling asleep.
Mother lying down in the ground.
Andy, you're saying that she's got the most beautiful colored eyes. I was actually thinking about it earlier, about how pretty her eyes are, and I think Timba's got a similar coloration to her. They're very beautiful indeed. But you see, even when she was almost falling asleep, there was something that she heard, something, and gets up, starts looking, and then likely she's going to fall asleep again. Now, there are impala not too far from here, but they're just in the thickets, about, I would say, maybe 20 meters away from us. I don't think she's aware of them just yet, but who knows, might be a good spot for them to stick around. Obviously, food is around, so why not? She looks so sweet sleeping like that, doesn't she? Almost like your normal house cat. Carl, you're saying that Thandi is quickly becoming your favorite leopard. Well, she is a very cool leopard to watch. So she is definitely one to have on top, and I like it that she's been spending so much time around the dam with Timba, and hopefully we'll carry on seeing a lot more of her. You are very pretty. I think she's almost in a sleeping trance. Wants to be awake but asleep all at the same time, so it's hard to choose. Now, I wonder if perhaps that hyena that was around that we saw running earlier on, it wasn't exactly here and it came from a different direction, but I wonder if perhaps that's not an indication that there's another leopard somewhere around here, or if perhaps Timba dropped a piece of the kill of the diker, and then the hyena grabbed it and carried on running away. Oh, shame, you are tired. You had a long day. Seems like Tristan has managed to put his rain gear on, so let's go over to him and find out if he's feeling a bit warmer now. He's feeding, and I'm surprised just by how wide his canines are. Now, it is quite nice. I think the weather is going to start warming up pretty soon, which is very good for all of us, because then Thandi and I are going to look like we're not that cold anymore. And Timba, well, I think he's just got the best spot in the house. Likely he can just stop feeding, perhaps even drop the kill and carry on sleeping in that spot without having to move all that much. I am surprised that there's still so much meat left in that kill. It doesn't, when we first arrived, it didn't seem like there was too much, but I think he's threading carefully now in between all the bones. Oh, that's a bit too much. So if you you do look like a normal house cat. Like I said, if this is a bit too much and you find it that is a bit sensitive to watch, please do look away. It is the raw power of nature, and this is how this youngster is going to manage to get into adulthood, just by feeding on everything that mom manages to catch for it. Well, I must say that is a bit of a funny view. Oscar, you're wondering if it's only leopards out of the cat family that only climb trees. Well, no, not necessarily. Leopards are well known in this area for climbing trees, and especially for putting their kills up trees just to avoid competition from other predators like hyenas. But also I have seen lions on top of trees on plenty of occasions. They, however, are a bit too heavy and not as agile, but they can go up in trees. And then we've got caracals and wildcats, which are smaller cats that also have a semi-arboreal lifestyle. So they always go up. So lots of cats can go up and down, just some of them choose to do it more often than not, and some that are heavier like the lions, well, they can, but it's not ideal for them. But I think in places like in the Masai Mara, for example, you would see lions up the trees a bit more often just to try and escape from the annoying tsetse flies. Whereas here, leopards are just so used to trees being safety to put up or kills, to get away from predators, that they do it more often than some of the other ones. Sean, you're wondering if leopards can digest bone. They can. They will digest pretty much everything that they try to eat, but they will not eat as many or as much bone as a hyena, for example. Their jaws and their teeth structure is not as specialized as the one for hyenas, but they still need to have some sort of bone added to their diet to be able to grow. If you can imagine, calcium is the most important thing to strengthen the bones and grow up. So if they don't eat bone, then they're not going to be able to grow as much as they should. And I think it's the lack of calcium is definitely one of the biggest concerns when you have captive leopards or captive animals in general, because a lot of the times the meat just has an overload of phosphorus, but you also need to add some calcium, because otherwise your animal won't look fat, but his bone density is going to be so low that it's eventually going to be very weakened, because its bones are not going to be able to hold it together. Well, not hold it together, but hold it up. Shame, girl, you're very alert. I wonder if perhaps that hyena is not lurking somewhere in the area. Crickets, you're wondering if leopards have more fun during the day than during the night. Well, that depends. They are believed to be not solely nocturnal creatures or diurnal creatures. A lot of people call them crepuscular animals, so that they'll start moving in low light conditions, so that it is early morning or late afternoon when the sun is either coming up or down. But I find that I've seen, or in my experience at least with the leopards in the Sabi sand, they can have as much fun during the night as during the day. I think, as a matter of fact, I've seen them more active during the day than during the night, but we then follow them around in the morning and we just look at their tracks and we know that they've been walking for quite a while. So I think it's a mix of things. Oh, Thandi, did you see I think maybe she's... Oh no, I got excited. She looked up and then I thought that maybe she was looking at the impala, but no, the queen's just decided to move around. Well, and by queen, I mean the queen of this termite mound. She's looking very pretty. Got that typical leopard look when she gazes into the distance, maybe pondering about life. And funny enough, Tristan and I were talking about it yesterday. There is something about olive carula's offspring, and I find it that it's just on the bottom part of the jaw from the nose down, that shadow carula and shongile, they share almost, I don't know if it's the look or there's some sort of resemblance that you can see there, because we know that they're related, so you're not imagining it. You know that there is a motherly relationship on that side. And funny enough, I don't know, in leopards, I don't think the study has been done, but in civets, they did a study quite a while ago about their spots. And now civet is an animal that is also spotted, not strictly in the cat family, but somewhat in appearance similar to the cats or the spotted cats, and it's that related civets have also similar spot patterns. Now, I don't think this has been studied just yet for the leopards, and I would reckon it would be quite hard to determine as they're all different. But who knows, it would be interesting to see if science manages to get us an answer for that one day, and see if, besides genetic, if there's a more obvious spotted relationship in between all of them. Because we do know that the coat of every individual leopard is different, and all of their rosettes, all of their spots are entirely unique to one another. Catherine, you say that you agree that there's a resemblance between the leopards. Yeah, I can't say that it's, you know, that you would be able to say, this part of the leopard, but there's something, a certain air to them that gives it away. And I haven't quite decided what it is, but there is something. I must say, Thandi, you also look quite full. Not as full as your son, who's pretty much finished everything and he's happy up there, but you're not looking too bad yourself. And I think she's a lot happier now that the rain stopped and the sun's starting to come out. We're going to stick around with these two beautiful leopards, find out what they get up to. But while we do that, let's go over to Tristan and find out where he is and what he's seen. Well, he definitely is, and now that the sun's starting to come out, we can see him in a bit more of color. And I am surprised that he has not stopped eating all this while. So Thandi moved from the termite mound where she was, so we moved with her. And we thought that maybe she was going to climb up the tree, climb up this beautiful jackal berry, but then, funny enough, as she was walking underneath the branch where Timba is now sitting, Timba dropped a piece of meat, and it pretty much landed on Thandi. And now she's busy eating. as well. So she's having a few scraps. So there's Timba all the way up there, and then there is Thandi all the way down at the bottom. There she is. Very hard to see her amongst that grass. But she is busy eating whatever it is, or whatever part of the diker that Timba dropped. So we were talking about leopards sharing kills. This is a pretty good example of the two of them peacefully sharing. I think, however, if that piece of meat hadn't dropped, Thandi would have likely gotten all the way up there and maybe reminded Timba who made the kill and just have more of a bite. So I think it's worth sticking around, see if perhaps she does go up this jackalberry, and maybe we will have these two beautiful leopards up there. But she also seemed, when she got up and she started moving, we could also see that her stomach was looking quite full. So she's also had quite a good meal from this diker. Look at your camouflage. It would be so easy just to drive past them. And I'm sure yesterday when we came down looking for them, or at least she was hiding in a thicket, and it was almost impossible to see her unless you know where they've been walking. And I'm sure you guys can see why now. Unless if she were to be standing perfectly still, we know where to look and we've got a zoom. But at eye distance, it's quite difficult to even be able to spot her. I'm very happy that they've chosen this jackalberry. Andy, you're wondering if Thandi has got Karula's territory now. Well, I can't say that she fully does. I think Karula's territory is now being split up amongst her and Shadow, and Shangila is also occupying a part of it. So it's hard to tell. Karula was without a doubt the Queen of Djuma because all of this territory belonged to her, but now that she's been missing, then Thandi seems to have pushed in more towards the lodge area and just the eastern side, whereas Shadow and her cub seem to be hanging around more around the southern and western side, and Shangile and Hosanna keep jumping in and out the Molowati. So I think there's still a balance that needs to be found amongst all of these leopards, and they're reshuffling and trying to find what's going to work for all of them. I think the fact that Shadow and Thandi have both got cubs at this time, it's perhaps a good indication that it's going to be a more peaceful reshuffling, because they'll have to look after their cubs and perhaps won't push their luck too far or too quickly. Especially Shadow, because she's got a way younger cub than what Timba is now. But she stretches quite a bit, Thandi, from what we've seen, all the way from Chitwa all the way to here. And then Shadow still goes all the way to Huffman's and Arthu's and back up, and Shangile keeps coming in from here pretty much to the northern side all the way back south to Little Gowrie. So it's quite interesting to see what they've been up to. And I wonder what it's going to end up doing, or where they're going to be going. But I think it's good for us, because then, there was another piece of meat that you dropped. I don't think you're being too good at this now. Luckily, this one didn't land on your mother. Holly, you're wondering how their tails feel, if they're very thick and heavy. Well, they are quite thick, but their coat is very rough. It's not soft like the one of a normal house cat. I was involved in a leopard coloring activity once for research purposes, so we had to dart the leopard and fit a radio tracking color around its neck, and obviously you have to move it around, so that's how I know. But the tail, I remember grabbing the tail because I had to move it, but it didn't feel like something too heavy or too bad. So I think it's just the feel of their coat, their fur is what shocks you first, because you see them and you think that they're such smooth, silky animals, but their fur is actually very rough. Well, it's got to be to survive in this environment, but they are very pretty. Look at that. Timba, you are being a very happy leopard this morning, are you not? I think if he's not careful, he's going to end up dropping whatever it is that he's got up there onto his mom once more. And I think the first time Thandi was alright with it. I don't think she's going to be too happy if a bigger piece drops on her. Not too much left of this kill now, so hopefully they'll stick around during the afternoon. But there were some impala that were walking in the distance. So Thandi looks full enough not to be bothered too much by them, but perhaps when they come around this area again, she might get interested once more and start trailing them. Look at the pure power of those claws and of those paws as he grips or holds onto the diker and then carries on eating. For such a young cat, you've got very big paws, mister. Elizabeth, you're wondering up to what age can female leopards still birth cubs? Well, in nature, pretty much everything will have cubs or youngs as long as they're alive. And by that I mean maybe their success rate in raising the cubs as they get older, or the cubs surviving the first few months of their lives is not as high. But in general, most creatures, as long as they live, they can bear youngsters. I think the only exception in the animal kingdom might be elephants and humans. But the rest of them can. Normally leopards live until they're about maybe 15 to 20 years, the females, and they can have cubs pretty much all the way. Now Thandi's gotten up. Maybe she's looking for that other piece that Timba dropped earlier on. I think it was somewhere around there. Definitely looking for it. Going onto the tree. Oh, please jump on the right side of the tree. I'm not too sure what she's up to. Where she's hiding. She's not moving. I can see one or two spots. So I think maybe she's still looking for whatever it is that Timba has been dropping. He hasn't been too careful. What do you say, Seb? Should we go around? Riddle, you're wondering if Shadow and her cub are more elusive than Thandi. Well, Shadow has a reputation for being quite an elusive cat, hence why they call her Shadow. Oh, you are looking at the tree like you want to go up. So I would say that sometimes it is a bit harder to find Shadow, but make no mistake, if a leopard doesn't want to be found or doesn't want to be seen, they know exactly what to do or where to go. Now she's looking at this tree in the typical I want to climb it way. Oh, come on. Did I just jinx us? You want it. Oh. Okay, we'll forgive you. Having some of metabolic needs that need to be taken care of. Hopefully she'll turn around and go back up. Or go up, because we still haven't seen you up there. But it was her that actually hoisted the tree. Rexon was here yesterday with her when she did that, so we know that it was her and not Timba, the one that put the kill up the tree. I think that is a very discreet way of putting it, Seb. Well done.
Let's give us some
privacy. Yeah, of course. Hello, beautiful girl. Yeah, she does want to go up. She keeps looking up there. Come, pretty Shadow. Oh, you're not a Shadow, you're Thandi. She is very pretty. Simra, you're wondering what's the main difference between the claws of a leopard and the ones of a cheetah. Well, the claws of a leopard are retractable, meaning that there is a little sheath that they can put their claws back inside, so they're not exposed all the time. Whereas the cheetah claws are never retracted, so they're always out. And she's going back to the tree, so let's just Come on, Shadow. I know you want to go up there. So that is the main difference. And now the cheetahs need to keep their claws outside for traction when they go running. So the claws help them grip the soil and then be able to run a little bit better. Whereas the leopards mostly use them when they either go scent marking or when they either use their dew claw, which is a fifth claw, when they go hunting, and that they sometimes use to bring animals down. But they just keep them hidden because they're one of their best assets. So they've got to look after them. Oh, we've got some very noisy greenwood hoopoes that have joined the party. Seems like Tristan's still looking for the sister, so let's go over to him and see if perhaps he'll get lucky. Right, we have moved places, and I think that I have melted into the seat just to be able to have a view. But how amazing is that? That just gives you a clear idea of what a stunning tree this is and how beautiful Timba looks up there. I think, wow, it was definitely worth coming around, and now with the sun starting to shine and this beautiful golden light coming through and this magnificent jackalberry, I don't think we could ask for a better shot. This is just incredible. Yes, I think we can look at it again. That is just stunning. Really, really stunning. Whew. I am getting a bit dizzy. Timba, where are your manners? Dropping food like that. And there comes Thandi. She keeps coming whenever he drops something. Maybe she's realized that it's easier not to fight her son and just wait for him to drop things. Now we're also here because if she does go up, we think this might be one of the best possible views. But no, she's just carried on eating down there. Cubby, you're wondering if leopards control the flick of their tail. Well, they can, but it's just most likely it responds to some sort of subconscious attitude or mood that they're in. Often when they're thinking, when they're stalking, you'll see that their tail starts flicking. So they can, at some level, control it. But I think a lot of the times it just happens by instinct without them realizing that they're actually doing it. I think this is the best view from them. Especially now that his face is in this direction, because it just gives you an idea of just how massive the branches of this jackalberry are. I'm sure this tree is about maybe 150 to 100 years old, perhaps even more. And we've got a leopard that's a year old enjoying his meal on top of there. How amazing is that? Oh. Gorgeous Timba. It doesn't seem like there's too much left. I think he's pretty much finished with this kill. Ah! Yep, dropped it on top of Mom. Yeah, you better be careful. It's the third time you've done that. Luckily, Thandi's happy, so she's not giving Timba too much trouble. He's being very thorough, licking the bones that he's got just to make sure that he takes out every possible bit of food from the bone. But I think it's pretty much finished, unless whatever it is that he dropped had a bit more meat, and that's what Thandi's enjoying down at the bottom. And she's pretty much just below him, but the view is not great on her. Oh. Okay, watch out you don't fall. Oh, maybe there was some more hanging on the other side. That is beautiful. Sorry. Thanks. Look at that face. These are some incredible... I think this might be my best leopard cub sighting on a jackalberry ever.
Me too.
Yeah. Well done. Lisa, you're saying you love the twists and turns of the branches. I do too. Jackalberries can be such magnificent big trees, and of course a leopard is any tree's best accessory. Let's not make any mistakes. But I think they chose well. And it's funny because this is one of those trees it's a very prominent tree, so when you go onto this road and you mention and you just say, you know that big jackalberry, everyone's like, oh yeah, everyone knows exactly what tree you're talking about because it's a tree that's got character. And it's one of those trees where as soon as you start driving on a property, you're like, oh, I wish I could see a leopard up there one day. So I think the universe was open to our wishes and we got very lucky this morning. And even the rain stopped, which is amazing. Both of them are looking quite good. Misha, you're saying he's making you hungry. I think he's making all of us hungry because he's really enjoying that meal. Look at his claws. Very powerful. So we must remember that even at a young age, this leopard cubs can be a force to be reckoned with, especially for us humans. I mean, I wouldn't really want to be touched by any of those claws in an aggressive manner because they could do a lot of damage. But just proves that these are animals that are built for action even from a young age. I don't think there's that much more meat left in there, little Timba. Well, he's been a vacuum cleaner. He's done a very good job. What? Also, on top of Mom, you are going to be in so much trouble. Oh, aren't you a big leopard moving your kill around? Oh, this is incredible. Treading carefully. You're lucky because it's a big tree and the branches are quite big. So he just had to reposition because I think the other spot wasn't the best, but I don't know if this is your best choice. There's a lot of bone crunching in answer to do leopards eat bone question that we had earlier on. So Thandi is definitely crushing some of the bones here. She won't eat it all like perhaps a hyena would, but definitely some bones are being consumed at the moment. Yeah. I don't know if this was your smartest call, Timba. I think the other way that you were in was probably easier for you to eat. Leopard cubs will be leopard cubs. So much to learn still. Seems like a game of balance now. Tail hanging the one side, leg hanging the other way around. Maybe he realized that this was not the best position to be in. Luckily, he's doing it in a safe environment, so even if he drops the kill, he can always go down and pick it up, and there are no hyenas waiting for him to drop anything and to run away. Oh. Okay, then. It's perhaps not the best view, but look at that stomach. Seems like Tristan managed to find something that also lives on a tree, so let's go to him before it flies away. I've got to say this, Chantal, because we had quite a funny link from Chantal on the radio, so we've decided we are with Thambi now. Timba and Thandi. I thought it was pretty much finished, but he dropped another piece, and it seems like there's still quite a bit of meat left down there. So, seems like he's not going to be going anywhere just yet. And it is funny, often, like, how many times already in the sighting where it was like, oh, there's not much meat left, and then all of a sudden he pulls up another piece that was hanging on the tree. Now, he's trying to get the skin off, whatever part it is that's still attached to bone. That's why he's being so careful in the way that he's doing it. And just using his very big paws to try and get everything out. Beautiful. Thandi is just there at the bottom. That's a very funny. It's almost like he's disgusted that he has to deal with the skin. That is a very funny face, Timba. If you are wondering about hairballs, that's his way of getting rid of all the hairballs, of all the hair that's still attached, because they will not eat the hair. He's just trying to get the hair out so that he can get to the skin, so that he can cut the skin, so that he can get to the meat. So it's still a bit of a process, but I'm not too sure how much meat actually he could potentially get out of this part. Doesn't seem like too much. Perhaps still a good bite, and if you're not careful, you're gonna drop it again. What if he drops down a nice meaty part? I don't think Thandi would be too upset. She's still been eating all the scraps that he dropped earlier on. That is an incredible screenshot.
Yeah.
Oh, yes! I can just hear the like with the part of the camera. That is gorgeous. What a great tree to be. Rajni, you say he looks disgusted by the hair. I think so. I think he's not too happy about the amount of her hair that he's got to wade through. But if you want the meat, you've got to go through the hair. Alright, seems like Tristan has managed to find a warthog, so let's go over to him and say hello. That is true. I think it was a lot easier knowing where to go look. But if there is someone that can find Shangila, likely that is Tristan, because out of pure stubbornness, I think Tristan does not allow leopards to just walk by and him not finding them. So hopefully he'll be able to find the little princess. I'm sure everyone's been wondering how she's doing, because her brother seems to be out and about a bit more often. Now, Timba's looking at a squirrel that's been jumping around the tree, and the squirrel was funny earlier on. It even started almost alarming, but then it realized that the leopard was a bit too close to it, so it quickly shut up. Very interested. I think he's on this tree, yeah. There it is, jumping around. Now that's the squirrel that caught Timba's attention. Now, you don't only have one leopard here, you have two. So often we use squirrels when we're looking for leopards or any potential predator, but I think in this case we have the case of a panicked squirrel that knows exactly where they are, and it's realized that silence, it's probably the best thing to try and get away from these two leopards. Yeah, you've got some unwanted visitors in your house, don't you, little squirrel? Would be the scary kind to have. Funny squirrel. You can hear her alarming. Tick, tick. It's very low, especially for how noisy squirrels can be. It is, however, very funny seeing a squirrel in this mood. Because make no mistake, the squirrel can see the leopards, but I think it's just like, maybe if I'm quiet, they won't come into my tree again. The attempt. Tim, you were excited to see the squirrel. Well, it was quite funny, and I just think it's hilarious because they're such loud creatures. Then when they can't be loud, it's almost like, haha. Now, Timba has carried on going at this piece of meat that he has got there, and I am impressed by how much meat Diker has yielded for both leopards. It was a male, so it was probably a slightly bigger Diker as well. Misha, you're wondering how much a leopard needs to eat per day. Well, roughly all animals need to eat between 5 to maybe 10% of their body weight in a day. So, let's say that Timba's, what do you say he is, Seb? Like 40 kgs? 30? Yeah, he's still quite young, so about maybe 2 kilograms of meat a day for him for the time being. But they can go for a few days without having that and then eating an absurd amount of meat. and sometimes even eating about 20% of their body weight, which in some creatures can be about maybe 10-15 kilograms of just pure meat. So it takes quite a while to digest in, and that's why when they gorge themselves, you'll see that they won't have to eat straight away. So, which is pretty much what's happening now. I think they are both quite full, and I think Timba more so than Thandi, and he won't necessarily have to eat tomorrow. I reckon he'll still be quite full. Tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow, he'll start looking for some meat. But having said that, if they ever had the opportunity, or a very good opportunity, they would probably take it. Even if it came down to eating the squirrel that was jumping around here. Can hear a lot of crunching that's coming from Thandi at the bottom, and Timba just holding on to the kill. A lot of hair. We are still hoping that Thandi's gonna go up at some point. Well, we know now for sure it is a male diker, just by looking at the head and the ears. Judging by the ears, it looks like it was an older male as well. So perhaps Thandi was very clever in her choice of prey. Standing by. Abrams, those 3 movers here. Where are you taking it? It's flapping and moving around. Mrs. Zero, you're saying that Timba's your favorite leopard and that you love his big ears. Well, he does have big ears and big paws, more so than some of the other youngsters that we get around this area. And definitely when compared to Hosanna, then his ears may appear even bigger. It's almost like he still has to grow into the rest of his body. I think we got here right at the right time, Seb. We got lucky this morning. Now I wonder if he's going to drop it again.
It's not Friday. Feline Friday.
Feline Friday. Is it Friday today?
No, I'm saying it's not Friday.
Oh, yeah, it is a pity it's not Friday. What day is it today? No, it's not working. Is it Thursday today? It is Thursday. What do we have for Thursdays? Thirsty Thursdays. I don't know, hey. Beautiful. It's quite the view. And Thandi is still down at the bottom. I'm just going to move my head so it's not in the shot. But she's still busy crunching some bone and eating the little pieces that he's dropped, and she's still down there. So clearly it was a lot more meat than when we first anticipated, but which is great because then we've managed to have them up here for such a long time. Seems like Tristan is still searching for Shangile, so let's go over to him and wish him luck. I'm sure he'll be able to find her. But now Thandi has been keeping us in suspense. She keeps calling to Timba. There's a bit of a contact call. It chuffs a little bit. And she keeps circling the tree. So we are really hoping that she's going to go up the tree, just because seeing a leopard climb a tree is one of the best things out there. But I think she's just playing with my feelings now. She keeps going around, and she's so close to the tree, and she keeps looking up, and she sniffs the base of the tree, and then she moves a little bit more. So I wonder, perhaps she's not trying to get Timba to come down. Just gonna give you a bit of a... Keep looking at the tree. Come, girl. It's almost like she wants to go up, but she's resisting, looking for any excuse not to. And I think she might find the excuse in a little piece of meat that that little boy over there has been dropping as he's been feeding. Kobe, you're 15 years old and you're wondering if Timba would eat the eyes for nutritional purposes. Of course, he would eat the eyes and pretty much all the internal organs. The only thing that the carnivores don't seem to eat all that often, or they really don't eat, is the stomach, because of the stomach contents that are mainly grass. But even now and again, they need to purge themselves, or if they're under some sort of nutritional stress, and you can see them eating a bit of the stomach contents themselves. But other than that, they will pretty much feed up on everything, because everything yields some sort of nutritional value, and it's good for them. It keeps a balanced diet. Now I think they... So I know this is a tough spot, but I think they spoiled us so much earlier that now we're just going to have to be patient, because Thandi is with her head in some bushes down at the bottom, and Timba, as we can see up here, has also got his head hiding in between the branches. So I just want to give them a bit of time before we start moving around, seeing if perhaps they come back into the open, or into an area that's a bit more open. Perhaps Timba will drop the rest of the meat there, and then he'll be forced to come down. Sammy Jane, you're wondering if leopards ever overeat. Well, I don't think there's overeating for carnivores. What we say is that they gorge themselves, which is when they look so full that they look uncomfortable. Especially lions are very good at doing that. Their stomachs just look super full and very distended, and then they're going to be quite uncomfortable for a few days. It's almost like they don't know when to stop eating, and then they're slowly going to start digesting their meal, and they're not going to eat for a few days at a time until everything passes through their system and then is put out. Now Thandi's still looking up, and she's still looking up at the tree in a very funny position, so I don't want to move, because if she does go up the tree, we are in one of the best spots where we'll be able to see her. So I think we're just going to have to look at Timba's half body for a little while longer. Oh, and it's starting to drizzle again. What funny weather we've had today. Hassan, you're saying that you wonder how they keep their balance so well. Well, it's something that it's a skill that they have to practice, and they start practicing from a very young age. I think in this case they're lucky, because the branches of the tree are very thick and long and just very good for climbing in general. But also their tails, especially when they're moving amongst the trees, plays a very important balancing role. And I don't know if you've ever seen people walk on a balancing rope, that they have either their arms or a very long stick extended just for balancing purposes. It's pretty much what the tail does. It helps them, if they're tipping onto the one side, then they'll move the tail onto the other side just to bring them back up. Beautiful Thandi. Beautiful Timba. What a morning. As Megan would say, what a time.
To be alive.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. Thandi. I can't believe he's still eating. Completely misjudged the size of this tiger. But but saying that they have been so active this morning, there's a good chance that they'll stick around here for this afternoon, which would be quite interesting. As I reckon they're probably going to sleep it off because they've eaten so much. And hopefully they'll be here for the guys to come and have a look in the afternoon, see what they get up to. Maybe they'll go up and down the tree a little bit more. Nothing goes to waste out here in the bush. Look at those big chunks of meat. We're going to stick around with them, see what else they get up to, perhaps if Thandi goes up, but while we do that, let's go over to Tristan and see what he's up to. Well, I don't think the third wheel is too impressed, are you, Seb?
Not really.
We do have to remind you, Tristan, that Seb's already spoken for, so I don't think he's too impressed with what you've been saying. Although, Byron and Taylor now, that's a couple we all wish to see.
Yes.
We're all probably going to get killed when we get back to camp, though, and Byron and Taylor are waiting for us there. Now, Timba has been so thorough in finishing whatever's been left that I am taking this to a whole new level. I am very impressed with how efficient this youngster has been. Perhaps he was really hungry, and that's why he's been eating pretty much non-stop for the last 3 hours, just to put everything into an idea of how long it's taking him to devour his meal. Thandi is still at the base of the tree. She hasn't moved at all. And I think she's just maybe waiting for her youngster to finish. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky later on and they will both come down to the dam for a drink, because we're not too far away from the dam camp, so hopefully they'll be around all throughout the day, actually, today and this afternoon as well. And you're wondering if leopards ever get dental issues from feeding. Well, I would assume that they do. I know animals get cavities and sometimes they get rotten tooth and a wide range of dental illnesses. I'm not too familiar with how much it affects them, though. I would imagine, like, if they have a root canal or a very rotten tooth in their mouth that has broken up, that it can be quite painful and annoying for them and probably put them in a very bad mood. But I have seen skulls of elephants with cavities, so I imagine it would be the same for the carnivores. All those rotten pieces of meat and skin that sometimes get in between their teeth, I can't see how that's going to be too hygienic or helpful for their dental health. That is a very big belly. I think maybe, Seb, let's go around. We're going to see if Thandi is at the base of the tree and she's in a bit of a more open position. Hopefully she'll be right out in the open at the bottom. But while we do that, let's go to Tristan, who still hasn't found anything. Hopefully he won't bring home any cockroaches. We are looking at Thandi now, and she is pretty sleepy, so I think we've come full circle. When we started and we found them this morning, she was looking very sleepy as well, and now that it's roughly about time to go back home also for some breakfast, then she's gone back to sleep. I wonder if they were quite active during the night. I would imagine that there was a bit of going up and down. Perhaps she went somewhere else, and then of course Timba has not left that very dear branch. Thandi and Timba Thursday, some of you are saying. I think that's very appropriate. Very, very appropriate indeed, because it has been a morning full of the both of them. So it's the power of the teas, except for Tristan. I'm sure he's going to put a cockroach in my bed now, because I said that. Both of them fairly asleep. I don't think that they're going to be up to that much more during the day unless the sun comes out and starts shining bright. But I have a feeling it's going to be quite a very slow morning for them. Tags, no changes? A firm, and Thandi's at the bottom. No problem. Ah, beautiful. Well, like I said, it's been a perfect circle. We started with them moving around, being very beautiful, and then Thandi looking a little bit sleepy, and then walking down, and then Timba moving and swapping sides and so on. And now, pretty much 3 hours later, they're almost where we started, sleeping their meal off. So I think we couldn't have asked for anything better this morning. Just perfect morning with Thandi and Timba. Hopefully this becomes a weekly thing, and we'll have Thandi and Timba Thursday every week. I wouldn't complain for that. Beautiful. And of course, they couldn't have chosen a better tree than this one. Well, I think Timba's almost like falling asleep, but he wants to finish what he started eating. So I think he'll give it a try in the next little while. But I think Thandi is definitely done. So I am hoping that the couple that's going to go out and drive this afternoon, that they're going to be able to see, hopefully, both of the leopards up the tree. That's going to be stunning if Thandi does decide to go up the jackalberry, because it's a big tree where both of them can happily have a snooze or an afternoon siesta. But until then, we'll see you all this afternoon and hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.